All right, guys. So yesterday, to my surprise, I'm just minding my own business, doing whatever I was doing. I started getting blown up with messages, and people were like, "Oh my God, you were on Kyle Kulinski's Secular Talk channel." And some people didn't even know who he was. They were like, "You were on this really big channel called Secular Talk," and I'm like, "Holy cow!" And I'm like, "I know who that is. I've been watching Kyle Kulinski since I was in college. Seriously, been watching the guy since 2016. Very long time that I've been watching his content." And yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, Kyle Kulinski found one of my videos on the main channel, Echoes from Above, and he reacted to something I talked about, which was basically Joe Rogan. There's a situation with Joe Rogan where his fans turned against him because he's putting way too many ads in his videos, and now he's putting them in the description, and he's promoting absolute garbage like DraftKings, which I don't think people should promote. That's just my opinion. But anyway, I wanted to go ahead and react to what Kyle Kulinski actually said. So this is me reacting to Kyle Kulinski reacting to me reacting to drama going on with Joe Rogan. It's crazy. It's a reaction to a reaction to a reaction. That's what it is. Anyway, let's go ahead and click on it. And yeah, here we go. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts.
All right, guys. So we got a video here. Joe Rogan's fans hate him now. Strong title. So we've seen similar instances before. I know that about a year ago or 2 years ago, somebody pointed out to me that Rogan's Reddit is just full of people who mock him now and shit on him now. I know that's like a common occurrence that happens. I know it happened to Dave Rubin's Reddit. I'm sure it may have even happened to my Reddit, to be fair. I really don't know. But it happened to Rogan, #1 podcaster in the world, biggest name in this industry. But now we have a new video. Joe Rogan's fans hate him now. Let's see what the reasoning is this time.
Are very upset with him. They're not exactly turning against him, which I don't expect him to. He's the #1 podcaster in the world. He makes really good content, obviously. I'm sure many of you guys watch him. I definitely
agree to disagree. Oh, he makes really good content. You sure about that, dog?
Yeah, I am sure. Yeah, the guy who's been the #1 podcaster for like 5 years now or whatever. Yeah, I am, Kyle. He's pretty good. I mean, even if you dislike him or you're not a fan or whatever, to say that his content's not good, that's just, I would say that's pretty disingenuous. Like I like you, Kyle. I think you're a good guy. I really do. And I like your content, but like, come on, man. Like, maybe you're not friends with him anymore, whatever happened with you guys. And I get it. But for me personally, I don't watch every Joe Rogan episode. And I definitely think that he's kind of an idiot for sure. Like, he says some really dumb things. And he clearly shows that he doesn't have much knowledge about much of anything, to be honest, which is okay. But the bottom line is his interviews are good. Like, for example, every once in a while, I won't say every once in a while, even when I find myself in a period where I'm not really watching Joe Rogan much anymore, he always somehow brings me back by having either a good guest on or just some sort of interesting conversation. Latest guest he had on was Wesley Huff. It's like this Christian scholar, like this Bible scholar. That was a very good podcast. In my opinion, that was great content. That was a great interview. That's just my opinion. Let's go. Watch him. He had a very interesting interview with the guy named Wesley Huff. So I watched that one, which I pulled up right here. But people are really upset because Joe Rogan is doing what most major content creators do. Once you get to a point as a content creator where you're just huge. Like, hold on a second. Is he vaping while reacting to me? Did y'all see that? Wait a second. Go look at Kyle in the bottom right screen right there. He's like vaping while listening to me. Here we go. Joe Rogan is doing what most major content creators do. Once you get to a point as a content creator where you're just huge, like you're one of the top in the world, you got two things you could do. You can either do what some of the younger streamers are doing. Like you could take a sponsorship with like a super sketchy company like Steak and they pay you all this insane money. Or you can take a crazy streaming deal with Kick and get paid like 60, 50, $100 million. Or you could do what Joe Rogan has done. You're already making like 100 million, 200 million, whatever he's making from Spotify. And you still decide for whatever reason to run a bunch of ads in your video. Now, I've thought this for a while. I thought I was alone. But recently, I feel like the ads have gotten kind of crazy. Like, he puts so many... It's almost like Shannon Sharp if anybody watches him.
This is what's become of what was supposed to be independent media, what was supposed to be new media. I told you guys a long time ago that it's no longer independent media if the same bad incentives exist, right? The problem with mainstream media was what? Hey, There's a lot of advertiser money, a lot of corporate money that goes in there. That helps steer the direction of the network because the people on top of the network will only hire people who don't rock the boat, who push narratives that the corporations and the advertisers are okay with. That's the problem with mainstream media. But guess what? Now you have that same virus has infected what was supposed to be independent media. Now, back in the day when we said independent media, everybody just assumed like, okay, that just means if you're online, you're different, you're more unfiltered, you're willing to tell the truth more, you're willing to rock the boat more. But now, it's not good enough to think of, oh, independent media is just online. Because you could be online and you could be controlled by the donors, by the special interests, by the advertisers and the corporations and the billionaires. And this is what we're seeing. Most of independent media is a total cesspool. It's not independent media anymore. It's new corporate media. New corporate media. So what does it take to be actual independent media? Well, I've told you guys, you can set up a business model that makes your funding more pure, that makes it so you don't have any disincentives and malincentives, and you can tell the truth. We on this show, what do? You guys support the show through small dollar donations, monthly recurring donations on Patreon. You give $2 a month or $5 a month or $7.
Okay, I respect that because at first I was interested in where he was going because I was going to say people got to get paid, bro. Like I 1000% agree with him. But at the same time, you're not going to have any independent media if folks can't keep the lights on and afford to keep the quality up and make money and stuff like that. But I like what he said. Basically, what he's saying is a lot of these people could easily just have a business model where they're able to raise money from their fans, kind of like CoffeeZilla does. CoffeeZilla does this right now. You set up a Patreon, people who really want to support you and keep your thing going and support the work that you do, they send you donations or they pay for your, private, whatever it is, whatever they want to do. They're exclusive, memberships or whatever it is. I agree with him. I think if you truly want to consider yourself independent media, you should do that. But the thing that Kyle Kulinski is not understanding, because obviously he's clearly a very pure guy, is most people, when they get to a certain level, they get corrupted by money. And I'm sure Kyle Kulinski knows this. He's just ranting about the fact that he doesn't like the fact that people get corrupted by money. But that's what happens. When people get to a certain level, it's kind of happened to me. I'm not at a big level at all, but I've had sponsors and brand deals come to me and offer me some pretty good money. And I'm a small fish. So imagine people with hundreds of thousands and millions of subscribers. These people are getting $50,000 for a sponsorship or $10,000. It's like insane amounts of money these people are throwing at you. Let me explain something to you guys. Us as YouTubers, we do not make that much from ad revenue. It really depends on your RPM. The way it works is YouTube pays you by every 1,000 views. So you can make $5 per 1,000 views, $7 per 1,000 views, whatever. The bottom line is that's not a lot of money for every 1,000 views. You really don't make a crazy amount from the ad revenue. Most content creators and YouTubers make way more money from a sponsorship than they do from the YouTube ad revenue. Seriously, which is why Kyle basically introduced that the way you keep the channel funded is you have people send independent, donations or whatever, small donations, and you just get a bunch of people to do that. Now, the problem is for some people it works, but for other people it doesn't. Other people just don't know how to do that, or it's just so much easier instead of like telling people, hey, subscribe to this or get into this, and you got to figure out what you're going to offer them or get people to do whatever. Instead of doing that, you could just take the DraftKings sponsorship for $25,000. It's kind of how it goes.
Bucks a month or whatever it is. That's one way. Another way is you guys tip with the thanks button on YouTube. That's another way. But most importantly, you can't do ads. You can't do ads. Look, I'll make an exception for people if it's something they really, really believe in and they really, really personally like. If they want to do a deal with a certain brand and there's, it's just a brand that they really love and really use and they actually want other people to use it. That's one thing.
I'm so glad he said that. Okay, now I'm fully on board with what he's saying. I agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing brand deals and ads. You just got to be careful with which ones you take. I 1000% agree with that, and I believe that for sure. Especially if it's a brand that you 1000% support and stand behind. I don't see anything wrong with promoting that. If that's something that you 1000% believe can help people or is good for people, or you 1000% you stand with. You're with that. So I'm glad he said that, because the honest reality about YouTubers and independent media, stuff like that, is it's really hard. It's so much easier to have partners and brand deals and people with money to keep your thing funded than relying on people to keep donating. Seriously, it really is. Now, obviously, for him, it seems to have worked. I looked at his Patreon. He's got like 6,000 people in there. But the other thing he's forgetting, is he has 1.49 million subscribers. He's extremely famous. He's been famous for a long time. What about for a small independent person like me? What about somebody like me that has 20,000 subscribers? The only way I'm making money is through ad revenue. That's the only way I'm making money because I'm not big enough where I could get 10 or 5% of my audience to subscribe to my Patreon or anything like that. I'm not big enough. So what about somebody like that? What about somebody who has 100,000 subscribers who they did that and they only got 100 people in their Patreon paying them $5? That's not that much, you know? So it really is a tough business, the whole media thing.
I think that's fine. Okay. I don't even do that. Right. But if I'll make an exception for that. But I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. I've never had a conversation with a corporation. I've never had a conversation with a billionaire. I've never had a conversation with a foreign government. I'm not interested because I don't want to set any bad incentives up. So don't email me, don't call me, don't talk to me, don't reach out. I'm not interested, right? But what you see is all of fake independent media, new corporate media, they're making brand deals out the wazoo. It's like, remember, Tim Pool and Dave Rubin got money from Tenet Media, run by Lauren Chen. What is Tenet Media? Well, come to find out, Lauren Chen was getting a tremendous amount of money from the Russian government. And so Tenet Media takes the Russian government money, gives it to Tim Pool and Dave Rubin. And you would think that, by the way, what did they come out and say? Guys, we didn't know it was Russia, so it's okay. We didn't realize it was Russia. We just thought it was some shady billionaire investor that was funding us. Well, isn't that also bad? Isn't that also part of the problem? That now, if you're getting money from billionaires, you are already probably representing billionaire interests, and that's why they're funding you, because they like the things you have to say. Because you prop up the Republican Party, which means what? The billionaires get more tax breaks. The billionaires get more subsidies. That's why they're funding you. So this is not independent media. It's fake independent media and new corporate media. And Rogan, again, is a great example of this. There's nothing independent about him at this point. Nothing.
Yeah, he's right about that. I get what he's saying. Yeah. If you're taking like way too many sponsors and all that stuff, and now you got all these corporate billionaires on there, and you're not even pushing back. I agree with him. I would say at this point, you definitely cannot count Joe Rogan as independent media. Joe Rogan is on the right now. He's right. In my personal opinion, this is my opinion. He's not independent right now. He is on the right. That's just what he is. In the past, he was independent media. Now he's a billionaire helping, bringing them all on his channel, Trump endorsing, which, you know, for you to be independent and consider yourself independent media, which, by the way, I don't even know if Joe Rogan even considers himself this or cares, but I think a lot of people considered him that. And yeah, I just don't think it's a good look having Mark Zuckerberg on there and all these other people to shill their crap, and you're not even pushing back, and they're just telling you all, you know, giving you their little fluff and their BS. And I really wish you would have pushed back on Mark Zuckerberg for completely flip-flopping only because Trump won the election. Like, do people not see what's going on? Mark Zuckerberg is as fake as it gets. That guy is a slimeball, evil, awful, horrible snake. That's what Mark Zuckerberg is, for real. He's only turning and doing all this stuff with Facebook and getting rid of the misinformation department and all that because they all want to suck up to Trump. It's not just Mark Zuckerberg. It's Jeff Bezos, all these people, because they know that when it comes to Donald Trump, you kiss the ring, there's some benefits to it, okay? Unless you're Nikki Haley. She's the only one who didn't get the benefit. But everybody else, you get it.
Nothing. What does it take to be real independent media, not talking to advertisers, crowdfunding from the ground up, and the other thing which I'm okay with is having the default ads on YouTube because there's a big buffer between the creator and the advertiser, and I don't know what's coming. I have no idea, right? That's the only way I'm okay with funding it. That's the only way I'm comfortable saying you're independent media. And I'll give credit. There's some people go even one step further than me, and I give them massive credit, and that's, for example, Citations Needed, with Adam Johnson and Nima Shirazi. They've said, we don't even do default ads. We don't even want that. They are 100% ground up, small dollar donor funded. That's real independent media. That's real independent media. He's not done yet. Let's keep going.
Most creators put way too many ads in their videos. It's like every 5 minutes there's an ad randomly, and it really is annoying. Like, I get it. You got to get paid, get your money. But these guys should really hold it to just like a few ads per video. We don't need 8 ads in one video that we're never going to buy anyway.
So what he's saying is that Joe Rogan, on top of the $100 million contract or $250 million contract, I think at one time or another, he literally had, he got 2 contracts and they were for about that amount of money. It's like, okay, so if you're making that much money, why would you have 1,000 ads that are jammed into your podcast? And it used to be, for example, if you...
Reason why is because it's very likely that Spotify, who gave him the deal, is making him do that. That's probably in his contract. Hey, we'll pay you this much, but you got to put all these ads in the video. That's how this works. We tell you what ads you're going to put in, and you're going to do it. That's very likely what happened there. Don't make it right. Still terrible. If I were Joe Rogan, I would dang near negotiate less money, because it's like, dude, you're already rich. Like, how much more money do you need? Like, a few years ago, you signed a deal for $100 million. Like, I think you're okay, man. And now you signed a deal for $250 million, and now it's just ads out the wazoo every second. This video's I hate it when that happens too, by the way. I'm just listening to the podcast, doing my thing. Maybe I'm like working out or something. And then next thing you know, this podcast, I got freaking dumbbells in my hand. I got to put the dumbbells down so I can skip the stupid ad. Like, come on, man. Like, it's just greed at this point. It really is.
Get Spotify Premium that you're like, save yourself from the ads by doing that, right? But now, even if you have Spotify Premium, apparently they're running countless ads. And so that's not good. That's going to piss people off. Let's keep going.
Joe Rogan has a Reddit, and basically this whole thing stems from people complaining about this in his Reddit. So this is what somebody said in the Reddit. Ads mid-episode makes it pointless to pay for Spotify. I understand exactly where they're coming from, because many people who watch Joe Rogan's podcast, they probably either use it as like good background noise while they're listening, or maybe they're working or doing some type of job where they're able to listen to hour-long podcasts, or maybe they're working out. And it's annoying when you're just trying to zone out and do your thing while listening to his podcast, and all of a sudden there's a 3-minute ad that you don't want to hear. This video is sponsored by DraftKings. Make sure you get the crowd, go back to the content. Like, I definitely completely understand, but yeah, people are pretty upset about that. Says here, I get still having ads, but making them skippable was at least meeting paying subscribers halfway. Now it's mid-episode, not skippable in the previous way. Pretty effed. Why pay for Spotify?
So they pay for Spotify. They're still ads, and they're not skippable. So yeah, why pay for Spotify? And by the way, you think people are just going to roll with this, and there's not going to be some percentage drop of people who are going to listen to your shit? There will be. And again, I never want to hear the term independent media talking about Rogan or others who have a similar funding model ever again, ever.
So they're basically complaining about that. Then people are calling him out in the comments of this Reddit post and talking about what Joe Rogan used to say back in the day, which again, this is what every content creator says. Most of the big content creators on YouTube, you can find old videos of them saying, I'll never sell a course, I'll never take sponsors, I'll never grift you guys, I'll never blast you with sponsorship ads. But it's easy to say when you don't have money. Once you're getting paid a ridiculous amount of money, once these companies are offering you hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions of dollars, just for you to place ads in your videos, one ad for $50,000. I see it all the time with some of these YouTube grifters that I talk about. These guys are getting paid insane amounts of money for these advertisements. Once you get to that level, it becomes really hard to say no.
Yeah, that's called selling out. And especially if you're going to talk about news and politics, that is one of the areas which needs to be uniquely clean and uniquely pure. You have to go above and beyond if you're going to talk news and politics, and Rogan, of course, does that all the time.
Yeah, but here's the deal, and I'm going to just be honest. Most of the people that are in this space don't actually care about what they're doing. They don't really take what they do seriously. They don't really actually care about their audience. They don't really actually care about the mission or what they actually set out to do. They just care about money. Most of them set out to do this and make money and become famous and be big, and a lot of them get it. And their true colors come out. Because all money does is, I forgot what the saying is, but all money does is further expose who you already are kind of thing. So if they were a scumbag before they have money, they're going to be a scumbag when they get money kind of thing.
Even though who, me? I'm a little old political me. No. Did I just endorse Donald Trump after saying a million terrible things about him?
At that point, when a lot of these content creators get to a certain size, it turns into F my audience. They gonna watch anyway because my content is good.
But that's the thing, right? Because that actually doesn't last forever. If you break the trust with the audience, after a while, it'll take a long time, but they will slowly but surely go away, right? And now...
I'm sorry, Kyle. I disagree, man. I've been on YouTube for 3 years. There are so many grifters and scammers and clowns and terrible people that I've covered and made fun of and tried to warn people about. Many of them are still going strong. Ever heard of Tech Lead? Still going strong. Ever heard of Graham Stephan? Still going strong. Ever heard of me, Kevin? Still going strong. Many of these people, I thought the same thing you did, Kyle. I thought eventually over time, their audience would eventually abandon them and their channels would die and they would get what they deserve. It didn't happen. They only got bigger. I'm serious. I mean, not really, but you know.
Rogan still has a gargantuan podcast, but I think he's already peaked. And then now you have, Kylie Kelsey or something like that is now the #1 podcast. Somebody I didn't hear of until like 7.5 minutes ago because this is just a different audience, right? But
yeah, that was a marketing scheme. Kylie Kelsey's not the #1 podcast in the world. Nobody watches Kylie freaking Kelsey. If I go to Chicago right now, if I just drive on the expressway and go downtown and get a mic and start interviewing people, hey, have you seen the Kylie Kelsey podcast? Have you seen one episode? Guarantee you, everybody I interview, if I interview 50 people, there might be one person that said they watch it. Nobody watches that crap. That's like the Hawk Tour Girls podcast. Nobody's watching that garbage. This is what's happening. It's a marketing tactic that these companies use. Spotify, whatever. I don't know how they're doing it, who's doing it. It's a marketing tactic. There's articles that were written about it, but basically they do something that shoots up the numbers real quick and makes you think that it's the #1 thing in the world or whatever it is, but it's not. It's fake. Soon as the marketing tactic is over, you'll be able to see the real numbers. You'll see. Ain't anybody watching that crap. Who the heck is watching Kylie? What the heck Kylie Kelsey got to talk about? Her husband's the one that played football. What does she do? You're just the wife of an NFL player. What's there to watch? Like, bro, she ain't the #1 part. Ain't got nothing to talk about.
these things don't last forever. And people, when they get to a certain point, they start to just like take for granted the audience they have. Like they think there's actually something so uniquely special about you and the moves you make don't matter. No, the moves fucking matter because people can see integrity and they can see when you're failing.
Says here, Joe Rogan for a decade, ads in the middle of a podcast and gross and completely disrupt the flow. Joe Rogan with 100 million. Hey guys, let me take a quick break to tell you how much I am enjoying AG1.
Wow. And oh, would you look at that? That just happens to completely and utterly coincide with him selling out to MAGA, selling out to the right, letting Trump. Interesting.
Then somebody commented said his greed is stronger than his convictions. I'd imagine a vast majority of this comment section would do much worse things for 1% of what Spotify gave him. That's true. I can't lie, that's true.
Stop making excuses. People need to stop making excuses for creators they like. Just stop making excuses. Stop making excuses. If they sold out, they sold out. Deal with it, right? And say, oh, everybody would fucking do it. Really? I just told you an example of somebody who's completely and utterly pure and fully independent. I told you the way we fund this show, right? If I wanted to, I could talk to, hundreds of advertisers.
That's fair, but that doesn't take away from the fact that most people do it. That doesn't take away from the fact. That's just how the game goes. Most people are not pure like Kyle and other people are. That's just what it is. Do it. They would grift like crazy. They'd put an ad every 2 minutes if they could for a few $1 million. So that is true, but it still doesn't make it right.
Exactly.
A few $1 million to do what he's doing, they would do it. They would grift like crazy. They'd put an ad every 2 minutes if they could for a few $1 million. So that is true, but it still doesn't make it right. This person said everyone has a price. That is true.
Wrong. Not everybody has a price. That is wrong.
Price. And then somebody said, I'll be honest, I'd read ads for. He's right. That is wrong. Not everybody has a price. He's right. Obviously, you guys know it's not a secret. I've had a few conversations with CoffeeZilla. I respect CoffeeZilla a lot. He really doesn't have a price. He could make so much money from sponsorships, and he just refuses to do it. So you got CoffeeZilla. You have a few other people too, obviously, Kyle. So I agree. Not everybody has a price. But 99.9% of people do have a price, okay? That's just what it is. Anyway, I just wanted to react to Kyle Kulinski's reaction to my video. That was pretty dope that I was on there. Just wanted to kind of defend myself and kind of explain a little bit of what I was trying to say about the Joe Rogan stuff. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. I know this was a crazy long video. Sorry, I didn't mean for it to be 24 freaking minutes. I do respect your time, but it just happened that way. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.